Hey, how are you going? You are tuned into Extra Healthy-ish, the big sister podcast to Healthy-ish. I am your host, Felicity Harley. Now, one thing I learned while hosting this podcast last year is that you listeners really like hearing health stories. By that, I mean everyday people who have suffered either physically, mentally, or emotionally and have come out the other side and have used their wisdoms and learnings from their battle to share an important message with the rest of us, or in my guest today's case, to raise money. Jenna Lea-Clarke is going to chat through her journey of a cancer diagnosis, the ups and downs, and how she has used surfing to heal and also raise money for the Chris O'Brien Lifehouse Centre in Sydney, which helped her during her cancer battle. Her charity is called SurFebruary, and we're going to hear more about that. Jenna, thank you for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. Now, how do you stay extra healthy-ish in your life today?
Today, I am staying extra healthy-ish by getting in the ocean. So today and every day in February, because it's a fundraising event we run called SurFebruary. But just in life in general as well, just, having that connection to nature is really, really important to me. And I find that whatever's going on, if I can take that 20 to 30 minutes just to get my feet in the sand or, dive under a wave, it just washes away so much of the anxiety of life that can get you down, right?
Oh, I 100% agree. The healing power of nature. That's what I always walk around and say. I need the healing power of nature. Get me out of the city.
Yeah. So true.
Well, let's talk more about SurFebruary later, but let's talk about how it came about or why it came about. I mean, you had a harrowing, journey with cervical cancer. Tell us what life was like before. I mean, you just given birth. Paint us a picture and then how you went through being diagnosed.
Yeah, so I was 28 at the time. So, no one ever expects to get a cancer diagnosis, but I feel that we were probably least expecting it. It was the time of our life where we just got married, we just bought our first home, and we just welcomed our first child into the world. So, we were just riding this high of ticking all those boxes and just, feeling really exhilarated and happy in the place we were in life. And then for that to all come crashing down in literally seconds. It's just, it was a reality check like no other.
So tell us so it was 6 weeks after you had given birth. Talk us through, and no symptoms. Talk us through this, when you found out, where were you, what happened, how did you feel?
So the first phase of it, where they had done the cervical screening at the 6-week post-birth checkup, then when I got that phone call, I was at home by myself. I just put Summer down for a nap around lunchtime, and the phone rang a few times in a row, and it was downstairs. And I thought, okay, I'll go see what that's about. And then I brought the phone upstairs and was looking at it and thought, that's my doctor's number. And I thought, okay, I better call them back. And they just said, you need to come in now, not tomorrow, not next week. Like, you need to come back in now to discuss your results. And instantly, you just get that drop in your stomach, because that, I've had many, many cervical screenings in the past and never had that kind of that call to action to come in to see them right then. And I just remember my back on the door sliding down to the ground, just that sinking feeling of knowing that I just knew. I knew instantly this was the start of something that was going to be, a difficult journey for us. And they, so I picked up Summer and I put her in the car and off we went. And they sat us down and gave me a whole heap of pamphlets and said, this is the schedule. We've booked you in to see an oncologist on Monday morning. They'll be calling you this afternoon. And it just, this flood of information and appointments just landed in my lap So that was where we were the first time that I was kind of thought something was wrong.
And I mean, I suppose we should point out that you had no symptoms because, and this happens quite a lot. I've heard this story quite a lot. A pregnancy, what's the word, covers them all, I suppose, or
mask them.
Mask them. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
And so what happened after that?
So the symptoms that I had exhibited were, like you said, all masked by pregnancy. So I'd had some spot bleeding, I'd had lower back pain and extreme tiredness, which anyone who's been pregnant can understand that they're very common things in pregnancy. The one thing they couldn't figure out through my pregnancy was the spotting. They just couldn't link it to anything. And I guess all we kept doing was checking Summer, or at the time, the baby.
Yes.
And we just kept monitoring her and making sure that she was growing and healthy and well. And they just said, you know, this just happens in pregnancy sometimes, but Bubs is well, you appear to be well. Let's just keep moving forward. And so we did. But then obviously retrospectively, we looked at all those things and went, okay, they were all actual signs of the cancer and the tumour.
We'll be back after this short break with more from Jenna. So you went into your doctor's surgery and then you went straight into surgery?
So we went into surgery the following week to remove the abnormal cancerous cells. At this stage, we were told that it's all just precancerous changes, very common through pregnancy, which is why they had recommended I do a screening at that 6 weeks checkup. And, you know, they said, look, they're very, very serious abnormalities. They're beyond SIN3. They were carcinoma in situ, which means they're quite advanced abnormalities. So it was, you know, they said it's serious, but it's curable and it's not cancer at this stage. And so we just kind of clung on to that hope and just went, okay, we can deal with this. We can get through this couple of weeks.
We can get through
one surgery and we're done. But unfortunately, my body didn't respond well to the surgery, and I was post giving birth, so there was a lot happening, and it just it kept getting more and more infections, and I had more and more bleed outs. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night to feed Summer around about 2 a.m. and just sat up in the bed and looked down, and the whole bed was just red. It was just blood everywhere, and I just panicked because I thought it was her. So I grabbed her. And
were you in the hospital then or at home?
Like my second night home from hospital. So
oh wow. Oh, that would have been traumatic.
When I realised it wasn't her, I was so relieved. But then I went, oh dear. So straight back to hospital, and that happened. Had big bleed outs like that at home a couple of times. And so there was about 3 or 4 weeks of in and out of hospital, more surgeries to try and stop the bleeding. It was a really rough trot, but again, we just kept going, okay, but we're waiting for that 6-week checkup to get the all clear. The week before Christmas, we can put all this behind us. And then at that meeting with the doctors at that point, they actually said, look, we're sorry, it is actually cancer. So that was the moment that we went into pure shock. And I think all the defense mechanisms we'd put up to cope with what we were going through just crumbled, and we're in disbelief. Yeah, it was quite hard.
I'm so sorry to hear that. How were you adjusting to motherhood at this time? Because you were still getting up in the middle of the night. I mean, no wonder you're an emotional mess.
I think there's two sides to it, because obviously it was so difficult, because especially once we'd received the diagnosis that it was cancer and that more investigations needed to take place to figure out how far it had spread in the body and what our treatment options were. In those moments, you know, having Summer needing us so much was a blessing, because it gave us a focus, it gave us an energy. It you know, life still went on. She still needed nappy changes, all of those things. I wasn't as mobile or physical to do all those things, but I was still, you know, my husband or my parents or my in-laws were there to help with that. But just watching her and, you know, breastfeeding her and all those things helped. But then obviously on the flip side, it was also so horrible to think that I can't be her mum, the definition of a normal mum, which was something I had to really grapple with, because I was like, I'm not being mum to her enough. because I had to put my own health
Yeah.
in front of hers. And to any new mum, you would understand that's one of the hardest things, I guess, of the whole journey, was to have those moments where I just wanted to be a normal mum. Yeah.
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 To be going to mother's group and doing everything that other
Absolutely.
mums were doing. How did you manage that? I mean, how did you get through?
I just kept, just trying to focus on the positives with watching her. I remember that her first smile was after that first surgery that I had, and just clinging on to the hope of. I always visualized things in her life that I wanted to witness. Like, so that was a big motivator for me. So when she started primary school, my gosh, I was a complete mess. Like, mums on first days of school are a
I
mess.
bet.
I was strong when I dropped her off, but walked out of that school gate and I was a mess, because I envisioned that moment for so long in those really dark times. I was like, I knew what school she was going to. I knew the front gate. I'd visualized it, and just that, that got me through. So witnessing that, the heart just, it was, that was a big moment for us. And I think those moments kind of really helped lift me through the darker times.
And I mean, your story did have a, dare I say, happy ending in the end. You had another child. Tell us about how it all ended.
We elected to have an alternative procedure done to maintain and preserve my fertility. So that was within itself a really rocky road, because, the stats at the time had showed that there was only a very low chance, like I think it was about a 30% chance of carrying a baby to a full term. Well, full term was the dream. I mean, just getting him to 23, 24 weeks was the aim, because I no longer had a cervix to hold him in. So they put a band at the bottom of my uterus, and then we all just crossed our fingers and hoped that it didn't slip. And we'd get an ultrasound every week and just check that it's not slipping. And, I was on bed rest for 6 months of the pregnancy, and just to ensure that he stayed in there and he grew, and he did. So we were all thrilled.
How long did
was
he
into
last?
36 plus 6. So one day short.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, so, we just, every single week that he was in, we were, cheering, and just the doctors were thrilled. So he came out at 3.0 kilos. He was big. He was healthy. He only needed a couple of days of extra care in the special care unit. And then he was in our arms and hasn't left.
And what about you? How was that? How was your health at that time? I don't think you'll ever leave, by the way. Apparently, that's what my mum tells me.
I'm quite happy with that.
How was your health then at the birth of
I was in remission at the time, which was great. It was quite a scary time, because we weren't able to screen my health while I was pregnant. So at the time I was on 12-week checkups to ensure that the cancer wasn't returning. And then that was a big part of choosing when to try and have another baby, because, they were like, we have to be aware that there's going to be a 9-month period where we're not checking you. So that was quite unnerving, but all part it and worth it in the end. But physically I was really strong. I'd bounced back from the major surgeries I'd had when Summer was a baby, and I'd put in extra effort at the gym and all these things to ensure that my body was as physically strong as possible, purposely trained for abdomen strength and all that stuff for about 6 months before trying for him. So it all went well in the end.
It all came together and worked in the end. So tell us about SurFebruary, why you are getting out in the water every day in February, and what, I mean, we know why it's so close to your heart now, but tell us a bit more about it.
So February kind of, it embodies our lessons out of our journey. So one of the taglines we use a lot is do good, feel good. And we just kind of feel like that's the essence of life for us now. It's about doing good for others. We want to create hope, and we want to help others that are going through similar journeys, because, unfortunately the stat is that 1 in 2 Australians will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. So we want to provide support for those people, but we're also really conscious of our own health and our own mental well-being and our own, doing things for ourselves as well. So this is the perfect match of both, because getting in the water every day is phenomenal for your mental health, for your, for your well-being in general. But at the same time, we're raising funds to go towards cancer research, which is, obviously something that's so crucial as well and so important to us as well.
Jenna, congratulations on SurFebruary, and thank you so much for being so open and honest and sharing your story, and for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you want to know more about SurFebruary, if you want to get involved, if you want to donate some money, I will leave links to that in the show notes. If you want more from us at Body+Soul, make sure you download other episodes of Extra Healthy-ish. We publish a new one of those every morning, Monday to Thursday. For more, head to bodyandsoul.com.au or check out our TV. Yes, we do have Body+Soul TV now on YouTube. Thanks again for tuning into my chat with Jenna. And if you have a moment, we would be so grateful if you could rate, review and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.